Welcome back. This is World of Warcraft. I received several inquiries from people about World of Warcraft that have never played it, have never seen it. They've played EVE for, the past 9 years. And since I have a tendency to compare the two games, I thought that it was a fair request to show some of the differences between the two games. Now, right off the bat, World of Warcraft doesn't look like this as the default. World of Warcraft makes it very easy for you to modify your UI and add different aspects to the game. For example, in the top right hand corner where it says Northern Strangle Thorn, that's a guide for leveling. And as you can see here, I don't even have to read these quests. And I've mentioned many times in EVE where it's actually a benefit to read, what's going to happen before you enter. In World of Warcraft, most people don't. Even dungeons, you'll find people going in there having no clue what's going on. So, yeah. Let's look at another aspect of World of Warcraft. The mailbox. That's it. You can send mail, receive mail, but there's no organization or anything like that. In EVE, you have many more options as far as being able to organize your mail. For example, a very good example is let's say you sell something on the auction house or buy something. Here's good. This is the inventory system. And on the left, you have the things that you can store in the city. On the right, you have things that you can carry around with you on your person. If you notice, there's bag slots on the lower right hand or the lower left hand side. That's your limitation, is how big those bag slots are. That's how much you can store. And you have to actually buy bank slots for storage within the cities, and that inventory is accessible all throughout the major cities. In EVE, you have a generous amount of storage. You have cargo hold space within each ship, and then you have basically unlimited inventory storage per station. So yeah, there's a very big difference about inventory in the game. Now, EVE has corporations, World of Warcraft has guilds. And I'm not in a guild on this character, but this is where you would store or access the guild bank. And there's more storage in the guild bank, and there's levels of access for the guild bank, which is very similar to the corporate hangar, but again, you have much more space. Now, let's check out the auction house, which is similar to the marketplace in EVE. In EVE, you are limited by location, but basically, for the most part, everybody is on the same server. In World of Warcraft, each server, and there's hundreds of them, has its own population, which is separate from the rest, and there are 2 factions on each server, so there's also that limitation. So this character is an Alliance character, so I can only access the Alliance marketplace auctions on this particular realm or server. In EVE, in EVE there's tools where you can actually browse all of the areas to find the best place, and the worst case scenario is that you have to fly there to go get it. As you can see here, I had some items that sold. I don't get them immediately. There is an hour delay. The reason why they did this was to stop gold farmers. And yeah, kind of sucks. So this is the layout, and it's not bad. I guess it does what it does. Again, my UI is heavily modified, so it doesn't look like this out of the is the default. But I think there could be some improvement there. I do like the open access of EVE's marketplace because I think it fosters the economy much more. That's just my opinion. All right. Let's see. What else can we show you? This is a major city. It's called Stormwind. What I'm flying on now is one of the mounts. Actually, it's the mount that you get if you purchase the annual pass. This character is not at a level where you can fly, so this flying mount is actually a ground mount. And once my character is of a level where she can fly, then you'll be able to fly around the city. In EVE, you're able to fly straight off the bat, and that makes sense because it's a space game. And you don't have that limitation of level per se. You have skill levels, but not hard capped levels, which you're about to see here. I'm about to train skinning. As you can see, I have to reach a certain level before I can actually access the skill. So even if I have skinned enough animals to be able to unlock something, I can't do it until I actually reach that level. In EVE, you purchase skill books, and as long as you can afford the skill book, you're golden. Now, this is the talent system that World of Warcraft has, and you can pick between 3 specs. In Mists of Pandaria, the druid, which mine is, will have 4, and then you are able to go down the skill tree and pick your skills. You have to go down one tree before you move into the next. As I said, in EVE, you purchase skill books, and from that standpoint, you can be whatever you want. In World of Warcraft, you are stuck as a druid between feral, balance, and restoration. There is no... I can't just turn around and decide I want to be a paladin one day. That just doesn't happen. You have a role, and you're stuck in that role. If I wanted to be a pally, I'd have to roll another character. You can dual spec and have, I could be feral and restoration if I, decided to do so, because my character is a hybrid. Now, as you can see here, you can also add glyphs to give your character some, customization. But as you can see again, I can't unlock them for a while. I mean, well, there's 2 that are unlocked, and then there's another one at 50 and another one at 75. I just haven't purchased the glyphs yet because I was out leveling, and I'm just now coming back to the city. Now, as you can see here, if you caught that real quick, when I went up to the merchant, it automatically sold my junk. In EVE, you accumulate a lot of junk, but there's no way to automatically get rid of it. And from that standpoint, I'm sort of glad, because I probably would have sold some stuff. It forces you to decide what's junk and what's not. What I just did with the junk is an add-on. It's a function that I added to the game to make things easier for me. Out of the default, you can't do that. You also have, which I just did, I repaired my armor. In EVE, the cost is losing your ship. Big difference. Now, this is the achievement area, and as you move throughout the game, you will encounter and gain achievements. The achievements, for many people, is sort of like an encouragement to do other aspects of the game, like player versus player. If you want to open up these achievements, then you'll go and do some player versus player in Battlegrounds. They also have bonuses, like for certain weekends, you'll receive more points or more benefits for doing specific Battlegrounds on specific days. There's nothing like that I've seen in EVE, and I think one of the weak points in EVE, for instance, as a new player, I feel absolutely no draw to go in lulsec or nosec, except unless I want to shoot up something, and I don't feel that I'm ready yet, skill-wise. There's nothing to draw me in there. As a new player, well, what I've seen as feedback from new players is that they go in there too soon, get their butt whooped, get disgusted with the game, and then leave. Or they're like me, they don't feel any inclination. I am more interested in wormholes than PvP because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get gate camped, and it's like I better save up a whole bunch of ISK so that I can buy these ships. Now I will most likely do some fleet PvP, but as far as a solo player going into LulzSec, I don't see the point, and I think that's one of the things that EVE needs to fix. Now here you can see my character and its skills, and in EVE you have similar things. This is faction standing. In EVE you have reputation, so it's very similar there as well, and both games have sort of a grind, so to speak. In World of Warcraft you have currencies, and when you run dungeons you get currency, which is different from the currency you receive when you do cooking daily requests or reputation gains. So this tab helps you keep track of the different currencies that you receive in the game, and it helps you to be able to know what you have so that you can spend them appropriately. In EVE, as far as I know, ISK Plesk. That's about it. And actually, I like that streamlined thing. Give me gold, and then let me go and buy what I want. Why overcomplicate things? And I think that the multi-level of currencies doesn't do well to promote the market in World of Warcraft. The reason why you have those different methods of currency in World of Warcraft is to stop people from giving away gear, basically, which rather sucks to some degree. So yeah, this is a Gyfrin, and I'm traveling on here. This is very similar to going on Autopilot, except there's no penalization. You're not penalized for getting on this Gyfrin. In EVE, and penalized might not be the right word, but when you go on Autopilot, when it's time to jump, you sort of do this slow crawl up to the gate. There's nothing like that in World of Warcraft. You just get on the thing and go. So this is where a lot of people will go to the bathroom, get something to eat and whatnot, because some of these rides can be somewhat long depending on where you're going, and you can't use those to get around everywhere. Sometimes you have to use a boat to go to the next area. Now, as you can see, these NPCs have question marks over their head. Those are your quest givers, which is very different from EVE with the agent finder. Now, with combat, my character is a druid, and I have multiple forms, different ways that I can fight in game. Very similar to in EVE, there's different ways to equip your ship. This is very similar to Cloak. Not all characters can do this. Mine can, a rogue can, but all characters cannot cloak. Whereas in EVE, if you purchase the skill book, you can cloak. What you're witnessing with the cat form was melee. This is bear form. And I'll show you cat form again in a minute. Bears tank, usually. They're ones that can take a lot of damage and keep aggro so that others can fight the mobs, particularly squishy ones like priests that are in cloth. This is your spell book, and I haven't gone into bear form because I usually fight in cat form, so I'm setting up my skill book here. But this is, or my action bar, but this is where you keep track of all of your abilities. And as you can see, it's very limited in comparison to EVE. And as you can see, once again, you bump into the I have to reach a certain level before I can unlock a certain ability. In World of Warcraft, as you saw in the spell book, you are limited to those spells, and unless you're a druid, you're the only one that has those spells. In EVE, anybody can fit a ship with modules as long as they have the skills to be able to access it. So EVE is much, much more of a sandbox than World of Warcraft. This character again is melee, and there are some characters that only do ranged, like for instance mages. They are DPS, they're damage dealers. They fight from afar. The whole point is that they kill you before you can get close to them. And they have their role, damage only. This is travel form. This is all you can do. You move faster, which comes in handy when you're a lower level character. You can move around faster. And this is cat form again, so you can see it from the front. And this is your DPS spec, cat form. Now you can do DPS in another form, which is called Moonkin form. And I don't have that form because I spec'd Feral. You would have seen it as balance in the skill tree earlier. And they're ranged. But you will be able to see me do ranged even though I don't have Moonkin form. So I don't usually do ranged. I should have done that entangled, that route earlier and didn't. But the goal here, completely screwed this up, is to fight from a distance. And as you skill up, you get Moonkin form, which gives you more armor and different abilities to be able to accomplish those goals more efficiently. So let's try this again in a proper standard here. There, from afar. I personally prefer cat form, but I like the ability to be able to dual spec and switch. There's another spec which is a healing spec, and what you do is heal. Now this particular character does not have a pet, which would be similar to drones in EVE. Pets help you fight. That's basically it. They're very limited in their scope. They can mess with magical characters like mages and cause their abilities to be decreased. But as far as, for example, helping me with my professions or anything else, pets can't do that. That's not their role. Whereas in EVE, you have drones that will help you mine, drones that will help you heal, different drones for different types of combat depending on what ship you're in. There's much, much more flexibility with drones than pets. And I really do wish that World of Warcraft would add some more flexibility as far as pets are concerned. Now, when you see these kind of mobs with the yellow, they will not aggro you. You can be around them all day long and they won't aggro you. Whereas you can see this mob here with the red aggroes you. Now, in EVE, when you do missions, you have mobs just like this, just sort of spread around. I am doing herbalism there. You have mobs spread around. See, it's not attacking me at all. And the equivalent to that is rats, which you've seen me either get my butt kicked on or killed successfully. Here you can see player versus player. You can fight other players. This is a PvE server, player versus environment. You cannot be ganked or someone just fight you for no reason. Similar to high sec, but more protected. But at any time, I can engage in player versus player by going in a battleground or turning on that PvP flag. In EVE, it's a more dangerous world. And you're never really safe in EVE. You have to, keep your guard up in EVE. Wrapping this up, I'm going to show some player inner emotes that are not in EVE. That's one of the things that CCP wants to add to the game, is being able to walk around and interact with others. Now, there are some EVE-like games coming out. Notch, the creator of Minecraft, announced that he's got a space similar type game coming out. And there's another one called Space Conflict that is a PvP based game that RealArcalian, thank you, sent me a link to. It's PvP, skill based, similar to EVE type game. Graphically not as pretty, and I don't think it's out yet. But yeah, there's some. I want to take a look at different games and compare them so that others can, get in games and enjoy them, whichever game it is. So, quick look at World of Warcraft. I hope that answered some questions for some people, and I'll see you in the next one.